Welcome to Java and in this video we are going to talk about Singleton design patterns. In this previous video we have already discussed about what are the design patterns and what is the benefit and what is the advantage, disadvantage, why we have come up with the design pattern, and design pattern is really very important. Okay, so every developer have to know about it. Once you know about it, you can get a clarity like how design pattern will work, how we can simplify our bigger task into the smaller task. That is the power of design patterns. Okay, so in this video we are going to discuss about what is the Singleton design patterns. Okay, this is the first questions. Okay, and second questions is like how many object will be created Singleton design pattern. So it will create only one object. Okay, it will not create more than one object. Okay, Singleton design pattern if you go with that. So in the entire application, for example, I have planned to develop one application, and in that application I thought, okay, this is the one things I have to keep only one object for that. I don't want to keep more than that. Okay, so in that case you can go with the Singleton design pattern. So most of the cases what we are doing is, in the some of the times in our project, what will happen is like we require to create only one single object, okay, for entire session, for entire session. So for example, I am a user and I am going to log in some of the website, and those website have to maintain my, when I log in, when I log out, all those my session. Then they have to create one session object. I hope you know about session in the Spring Boot, but no, I think you don't know about it. But in the later, if you learn, you can understood, okay, what is the session and how we can manage the session. So in the real-time application, while logging a users, we are creating one session, and so session will be only one. Okay, so for one user we are creating one object, and those session will be entirely, it will move whenever it's required. Okay, so for that also required only one object, not more than that. Okay, also if I talk about logger, okay, so whenever you want to generate some log file, okay, so in the log also sometimes we are implementing the Singleton design pattern, and based on that we are printing the log. Sometimes Singleton class will be required in the some of the synchronous calls. Okay, when we have to we want to only one object, that time also we can use it. Okay, so this is the some overview. Okay, and the purpose of the Singleton design pattern is only provide the one single object. Whatever you want to do you can do, but only provide the one single object to create the client or whatever the other peoples are using it, not more than that. Okay, so how you can make your class as a singleton, how you can design your class as a Singleton design patterns, let's see. Okay, and one more thing guys, Singleton design pattern is very important right now in the interview room. Okay, whenever you go to the interview, the interviewer will definitely ask you what is the Singleton design pattern and how we can write a class for the Singleton class. Definitely they will ask. Okay, so don't forget those things also. Okay, like how to write a Singleton design pattern, it's a very easy. Okay, we can write in the two way. One is like you can just like eager loading. So EAGER, eager loading. Eager loading means even you want object or not, it will create an object for the Singleton design patterns. Okay, and it will provide you even if you use or not. And one is lazy loading. Okay, lazy, LAZY, lazy loading. So lazy loading is something like whenever Singleton class object is required, that time you can use it. Okay, so let's discuss both the patterns and how we can write a code for that. But always remember one thing, don't write code in front of the interviewer eager loading. Okay, always write code for the lazy loading. Okay, whenever you design a class, go with the lazy loading. It's a very good way to create an object, because whenever you require, that time only it will call. It will not occupy your extra memory, and it will give the it will very fast also, you can say, and whenever it's required it will work. Okay, I hope you understood as of now what is the eager loading, what is the lazy loading. So based on your situation, your requirement, you can design the patterns. Okay, let's see. So apart from this, it's a interview. It's very important for the interview, I have to tell. Okay, and let's go to the our Eclipse, and you can see like how we can design for it. Okay, so let me create one class which is Singleton. Okay, so I have pasted here Singleton. Okay, so this is the class name. You can keep, otherwise you can keep different class name also. So you can write Singleton class, that is okay, no issue. Class name should be anything. Okay, but while designing this class, you have to take care how you are designing and how it will work. Okay, that is the main important things. Okay, so for example, what you are going to do is, for example, I want to make my class to create only one object, not more than one. So what I can do, simply what I can do is, I don't want to provide to create a class, okay, directly from the other side means from other classes. So here only I am going to create one more class which is test or client, somebody peoples can tell. Okay, so this is the test class I have created, and inside the test class I am going to create one main method. Inside the main methods, okay, I'm going to create one Singleton class object. Okay, Singleton s1 equal to new Singleton. Okay, so very easily I have created the object. Okay, and very easily I'm able to print it also. Okay, if I write s1 dot let me print the hash code. So only you can check and differentiate the object with the help of the hash code. There is no other way to check it. Okay, so s out. Okay, and you can go with the shortcut, and here you can write s1 dot hash code. s1 dot hash code. Okay, so this will give me the one unique identity number, like our object is different or same, like that we can see. So here if you see the output, like what is the output, so you can go to the console and you can see this is the output 16511911114. Okay, if I create one more time object, same thing, here I will give s2 and I will print the s2 hash code. Let me run once again. So if I run once again, you can see here the hash code is different. So it means that whenever I am writing a new singleton, that time it will giving me a new object. Why? How you can say? Because of, you can see here, for every object the hash code is different, and I have already explained you what is the hash code, internal working of the hash map, where we have used the equals, hash code, what is the use of it, what it will give, everything. So it will give only unique object identity, you can say hash code. Okay, so if you see right now what we are doing, we are creating a two object, and both object having a different hash code. It means both object are different. So right now our Singleton class is not able to secure as a singleton to protect, like not create a multiple object. It should be only one object. So what can I do? I can write here one method. What is the method? So I can write one public method, public static, and I will return the Singleton object, Singleton get instance. This is the simple method I have written, and whenever people will call, I will return one object, and those object I will create here. Let me write it, private static Singleton, okay, object obj equal to new Singleton. Okay, so I have created one object, and whenever people will ask me, give me the Singleton object, so what I will do? I will return it. Okay, return what? Object every time. But still the people will create object, because I have one default constructors and they are able to create it. I have a default constructors, and through that constructor people will create a multiple object for my classes, no issue. So what can I do? I can do one more things. Okay, so whenever you call this method, we can give one object, but make sure our class is private. So private, okay, Singleton. Okay, so I have override the default constructor which is by default public. So I have make it what? It's a private. So now if you see the test classes, they are able to see like you can't create an object for the singleton class because the constructor is not visible. Constructor is not visible means what? It means constructor is private. If it is public, you can access outside of the class, but if it is private, you can't create object for that class outside. Inside you can create, you can see here, but outside you can't create. Apart from this singleton class, if you create outside of the singleton object, it will not create. So for that we have given one public method which is getInstance. This method will give you a object. Now I will say, so you can't get object directly with the constructor. So this is the one protections we have done. Okay guys. Okay, so whenever you call these methods, you can get one object, but while calling this method we need singleton class. So what we can do, we can write here singleton dot get instance, right? Singleton dot get instance, because it's a private method, so we can call directly with the class name. No need to create a object. Got it? So as of now, if you see, if I run again and if I show you what is the hash code, so you can see both the hash codes are the same, right? 1616 511 511 9111 9111 and 44. That is the same object we are getting. So right now our this class is able to give the design pattern it's supporting right now. So right now our classes is supporting what? Singleton design pattern. Okay, because we are not able to create multiple object from outside. Okay, but still having some way to break this singleton design pattern, like with the help of the reflection API, with the help of the clonable, serialized, deserialized, through that we can break it. Okay, but if you see here, we are creating a directly object even it's required or not. So whenever you load this class, that time this object will be created. Even people will call this method or not, it does not matter. Okay, so that is called eager object instantiation, object creation, you can say. Okay, okay, this is the one thing. So why we have made private? We can't create object outside. So for that we have make out this one is a private, constructor is a private. Why this one? To provide the object with this method only, because people will not call this singleton directly, which is object reference, because it's also a private. Okay guys, so I hope you understood what is the eager instantiations of the object, but that is not good. Okay, so if you create like that, it will occupy the extra memory even you required or not, so it will not a good way to design our singleton design pattern. So what we can do here, so now you don't want to create here directly object, what you can do, you can initialize with the null. Okay, let me remove this one. Okay, and singleton will be private, that is compulsory in the any scenario. And what we can do is we can provide one method which is getInstance, but what we can do is here we can write one we can write one if conditions head. If object is null, obj is equal to null, okay, then create the object, return new singleton object. Let me write return new singleton object. Okay, if it is null, then create the object and return it. If it is not null, then return the object. Okay, so this is the code I have written, okay, which is going to give the object to us. But still, if you see this code, you can say if I work with the multiple thread, okay, if you work with the multiple thread, But let me do one thing. Let me run once again the same method it will call. Okay, and if you see again 165.19114 different object I am getting. Okay, again our pattern is break if you go with the lazy. Okay, if you see here. Okay, so what we can do here, our singleton object is null. Okay, but if you work with the multiple thread, that time you have to make it synchronize. Okay, so you can make your method as a synchronize. This is the one things you can use as synchronize keyword. Okay, but the problem is, like if you use the synchronize, the entire method will block until one thread will complete. Okay, so once one thread will complete, then only other thread will come and execute this method. Okay, so that is the one problems you can see here. Let me run once again. Okay, and see the console. Again different object I am getting, right? And different hash code, but we need single hash code, not different hash code. Okay, so here also, right, we have written the synchronizations, but still we are breaking it. Okay, we are not able to provide a object. So if object is equal to null, return new object which is singleton, otherwise return the object. Okay, so what we can do here is we can store it first. Okay, so first store inside the obj. Okay, obj, and once you store it, then after you can send this object. Okay, return obj. Okay, so if you see here, only one thread will call at the same time, and once one thread will call, next time if you see here, it will give the same object. Why? Previously what I am doing is I am not storing the object, so every time it should be null and it will creating the new object. Okay, and it's written. So that is not a good scenario. Okay, so what I have done right now, once object is created, I have put it inside the obj and then I have returned it. Okay, so this is the right way to create a singleton design pattern. Okay, but make sure if you want to handle the multiple thread, then you have to put here synchronize keyword. If you don't want to worry about the multiple thread, then that is the good enough. Okay, you can go and you can try to create object from anywhere. Okay, right now. Okay, it will not break it. Okay, as of now, but we can break in the next video. Okay, but as of now you can't break it, and that is the good design pattern. Okay, this is the one things. But if you put the synchronize, what will happen? One by one object thread will access this block. Okay, so this block will lock until one thread will complete our executions. But that is not good way, right? But that is not a good way. So what we can do, like in the method maybe having a 20 or 30 lines of the code. Okay, so here only we have to restrict it, right? So what we can do is we can remove here our synchronize keyword and we can put here, and what we can see here, what we can write here. So here we can write, if we can write here one synchronize keyword. Okay, synchronize, we can create a synchronize block here. So what I have done is, so we have written here synchronize block, and in the synchronize block we can write this object creation code. Okay, so we can put our object creation code inside the synchronize block. Okay, and make sure inside the synchronize block also we have to write one if condition. If what? Obj equal to null, then only we have to create the object, even you are inside the synchronized. Okay guys, so now again if you run it, so if you run it, you can see only one object. Okay, but here we are getting some exception, thread में null point exception cannot enter the synchronized block because singleton class is null. Okay, so if you see here, what we have done is object equal to null, we have created one synchronized block, but in the synchronized block what we can pass it, we can pass here class. singleton class. So singleton dot class name. Okay, and if you see, this is the synchronized block. So this block of the code only will be block or lock, you can say, while multiple thread, only for this line of the code, not for the entire line of the code. Okay, but if you put the synchronize here also, it will block entire method. But if you put in synchronized block inside the method, it will wait for this single line of the executions. Okay, so I hope this will give the better performance. Okay, let me run once again. Okay, what is the output we are getting? Okay, so if you see here also, we are getting 16511, same object, we can say. Okay, so this is the correct singleton design patterns we have, right? And if you explain this in front of the interviewer, he will impress. He will impress on you, because we have discussed the synchronized block, we have discussed synchronized method. In the multiple environment also, we have discussed lazy instantiation, we have discussed eager instantiation, we have discussed private constructor, we have discussed private variables. Okay, lots of the things we have discussed. Okay, and that is the fantastic. Okay, in the next video we can understood how many way we can break this singleton design pattern, and still we are able to break these design patterns. Okay, so there is some way to break these design patterns, but right now if you see, we are not able to break it. Okay, let me run it. Every time it will give only one single object. Okay, thank you so much. Okay.